But there's more to it. I want to also understand why we're doing this. So if we take this and I come back into the modifier panel and I had done a little bit more diligently or cleanly or saw what I was doing, I could do this. But what I'm going to do is when I grab this edge, and if you remember, I'm just grabbing, it looks like I'm grabbing this smaller area, but it's the yellow box. And I'm going to grab this edge and I'm going to do extrude, and I'm going to extrude them back. Now watch what happens when I extrude it. Automatically you can see it turns around. And that's because it's not divided. So what do I do to fix that? I can do a couple things. Let me turn my wireframe back on here. I'm going to go down not so far. And I'll say plus, and automatically I get a harder edge there, and then I'll say okay. So I've got two of those, but I still have this weird round stuff going on. So what you need to do is go back to Swift Loop and click across. See, because it's trying to bend this edge, so we need to divide that edge. Bam. And then we divide this edge. Bam. And then we divide this edge. Looks like I did something wrong here. Which is good. Let me go back out of Turbosmooth here and see why. Yeah, that's weird. It just wasn't showing in the Turbosmooth version. So if I click here, and then I click here, and see what I mean about Turbosmooth working in any version that you don't have to be in any specific sub-object mode. And then I go back into here. You can see now I've got this perfect or much more clean box. And obviously the more divisions you do, the better. So I'm going to take this and do it to the top too. I'll extrude it this time up just a little bit. Like that. And then of course we have to turbo smooth, or we have to do the Swift Loop to get it clean. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Okay, so now we've got those 4 those extrusions and those end points. And that's what I want you to do for your homework. And the real reason is because when I bring this over, and let me open up Substance. So if we look at this, you can see that this can start to get really, really divided, especially if I went up to Turbosmooth into 2, let's say. Look at how many subdivisions I have there. But, again, look how clean that all those edges look. And I probably would just come back in here to this version and do a Swift Loop, right here to get a little bit tighter. The closer you get it to that edge, the more, and these are called support edges, the tighter that corner will be in this case. And I could do one, and if I look here, you'll see. Let me turn Turbosmooth down so I can see what I'm looking at here. But if I do one here, I'll get a harder edge there, all the way around it. And then if I do one, usually it's safe to go to the corner here. I'll do one there, and then I've got that nice and tight. I can come up here, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get it to be a nice clean box. But to get it that way, it keeps becoming a nightmare. One of the other things I should point out is that everything I'm doing is through loops. If I don't have loops in here, Turbosmooth is, I'm not going to be able to Swift Loop first off, and then Turbosmooth starts to get weird. Anyway, so why am I doing this, and why do we do this? Let's unhide all here, and there's our box. That's the original box, right? Well, I'm going to take that original box, and I'm going to export it. I'm going to call it box underscore low. You don't have to do this for the homework, but I want you to understand what we're doing. And then I'm going to grab this one and export it. Actually, I'm going to collapse it just so. Export. We'll talk about that when you start doing the exporting. It just needs sometimes to be a little bit better. If you don't have the modifier on, but you have it set for the modifier, it gets angry. Anyway, so I'll export that as high. And you can see the poly count difference here. This is 3000, whereas the box, oh, I don't have it with the selected. Configure viewport, statistics, total line selection, triangle count, get rid of these, say apply, okay. So if I come and click on this, now it's 3,000, right? If I click on this, it's 12. So I have 12-sided box. It'd be better to have a 12-sided box. So if I come back into, if I go into Substance and I say new, and I grab that just like we did with the sword, and I go to wherever that box was, box low, and I import that in. Say okay. And then I say F to zoom out, hopefully. Okay. So we have our box. Really simple. Well, first thing you do when you come into Substance, as we talked about yesterday or on Monday, is you bake your mesh maps. So I'm going to bake them, and I'm going to even go up to 20. Well, let's go to 4096. There's nothing to it. But instead of doing nothing or checking this box where it's going to use its own normals, I'm going to say pick a different mesh to pick from, and I'm going to go this high one. Say open, and then I'm going to bake. And watch what happens as I bake this seemingly 12 poly box with this new high res version as it's how it gets its normals. Excuse my computer. So, it looks like, interestingly, it went there. It's on the bottom. I must have done it on, let me see. Huh. Oh, you know what happened? I didn't unwrap it. Huh. So let me go back and unwrap it again real quick. Right now it's unwrapped all on the same side, so Okay, so I'm back. I haven't unwrapped, changed the unwrap because I'm going to show you. If I push F1, if I come up here, oh crap, I push F1, obviously I forget that that's the shortcut for Camtasia 2. Anyway, if I push this and I push F, you can see that all the sides of the polygons are baked, all the sides of this box are baked into one thing. That's why we got everything looking, it has that indentation. It's actually fighting with itself. So I'm going to come up to edit, and this is how you can update your mesh. If you come up to edit and you say select, and I go back and I've re-unwrapped it in Max, and then say okay. Now you can see it's in different ways. But when I do that, it's going to obviously not have rebaked it. So I got to rebake it real quick. I don't have to change anything. All right, and now we have our mesh. Let me pull it to the full size here. And now we've got our extrusion on the top, our pulls on the two sides, and if I move the light around, it totally looks like that. That is why we do normal mapping and how we do normal mapping. It's basically just to get this stuff in there. So the key point about what you're working on is that we need to have everything very clean. Let me come back out of here, unhide. Let me grab the high res here. Hide unselected. Meaning that I want them all to be loops. This is why everything is loops. Yes, it's really dense, and this is the reason that we do it just to get the normals. And next week we're going to start talking about ZBrush and how it will change everything you do. But for now, I want this box or something similar to this box for your homework or for your classwork today to turn in before the end of class.